It is May 21st, 2018, and this is a United FC Weekly, a Home Before Dark podcast.
Yeah.
I missed the ooh. Where's the ooh at?
Oh, man.
Do I need to say sticky, icky for you to do that? Isn't that where that comes from? That song that...
No.
Never mind.
I think I just did it on a whim.
I am Tim Herb, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Kevin Bradley, to my left, glowing in his Goku
Yeah.
Kaioken.
It's great. I love it.
Real Sociedad jersey.
It's nice.
It hits on every single cylinder.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It is everything to me.
That's all I've had to hear about since you got it. We're being joined. This is not Dan. This is our buddy Greg Jackson joining us live in studio. Thanks for coming over, man. Excited about this.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Well,
I think Brittany sums it up. Still upset. I don't know why.
I'm glad you guys still tuned in, came into the trap, as it were, and are coming to commiserate in what was a terrible outing by Atlanta United.
Yeah, pretty brutal.
Night.
We had some good news though. First and foremost, mention the jersey.
Right.
Go check out Away Days Football, spelled the American way, FOOTBAL.com. Using promo code HB4D to get 15% off, and proceeds will go to support our Clarkston FC campaign with Soccer in the Streets. Do the mystery kit option. Tons of
getting
random.
A little too close. I know.
This is what bothers me every week. You're just doing this the whole time.
because some days you're a foot away from the mic, and then some days you have your beard rubbing up on it the whole time, and that's all I hear in my ears.
Well, then if you just let me pick my spot and not keep correcting,
fine. This is fine.
Then I would be okay.
How you are is fine.
But then next time, it's not going to be close
Kevin,
enough.
you're amazing, just the way you are.
Just stop.
You're pretty good.
You know what else is amazing? AwayDaysFootball.com. Go use promo code HB4D. Check out their mystery kits. Help us support Soccer in the Streets. We've got another week. We actually spoke with Martin today. We're going to extend the campaign for another week because our involvement with Soccer in the Streets for this campaign in particular runs another week. So he's going to extend it alongside us.
Yeah, the proceeds will still go to the Clarkston FC team. And you guys keep those pictures coming, the kits that you guys got. I know a lot of you have bought some, and we've loved seeing like kind of the grab bag and the whole fun aspect to it. Again, over the years, we've never taken on a partnership, sponsorship, whatever, because just to do it. And I don't know, we've had a great time seeing everything that everybody's doing.
Dean's getting attention that he can't get from Facebook, and so he's just so excited right now.
Anyway, as Kevin said, go to awaydaysfootball.com, use promo code HB4D. They have other quality clothing there too, high quality clothing, but the big thing is that mystery kit grab bag, as it were. It's fun. I mean, Andrew just got the yellow and blue Nottingham Forest away kit.
Oh wow,
that one and the red one are pretty clean.
Yeah. So yes, there is an elephant in the room, Greg, that you're laughing about. Because one of our friends and one of the long listeners, Dean Worley, is a shit poster, and he has pointed out, he's asking if this is the Greg Jackson that's an admin on the Atlanta United Facebook page and never approves his posts. You can plead the fifth here, or you can blame Rob or Kelly or any of the other admins.
I claim that all day long. I can't. I am one of the admins. There's like, 8 of us? And yeah, you know, the funny thing about that is we went to approving posts about at the end of last season, because I think after the Barco rumor started getting going, it was like, you know, you had like 55 different posts talking about, okay, what about this rumor? What about this rumor? What about this rumor? And it was like, okay, we got to figure out some way to kind of, you know, cycle this down to where, you know, people can at least get everything down to one or a couple posts and all that. And, you know, of course, it went pretty well, like, because of course last year, like, you could just post whatever you wanted, whenever you, however you felt.
How many?
It's like this live chat.
right.
I'm gonna set the over under at 75.5. How many Brad Guzan or Alec Can posts were there concurrently?
Oh God!
You're gonna take the over on that? It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think that was probably. I think more so than the shit posting. It's for the duplicate entries, man.
Exactly. Because I mean, if you have the same exact post, the exact from the same source, 5 different times. It's like, why not just have everything all in one post? Say, hey, go to this one, go to that one. Of course, sometimes obviously it's going to duplicate from time to time, but I think just having a bit more organization went a long way, and it's definitely helped out keep the page a lot cleaner than it used to be. And so, of course, like when the original plan was to let it open it back up when the season started, they said, what, let's just go ahead and let's keep it more organized, and that's how we end up where we are now.
Yeah, it's definitely much better. It's it definitely helps keep it from being that clusterfuck. That it was. Yeah.
And in terms of clusterfucks,
MLS Fantasy. A shout out to my other admins, Robert Swixter, Chris Schmidt, Christina, Brent, David, all you guys. It's awesome. Like I said, we kind of keep it fun.
I'm not gonna fault anybody for trying to keep Dean reeled in. So you guys do what you gotta do over there.
Dean's the last person that should be given free reign over anything.
The last thing I tried, I don't take any of that stuff, personally. People talk their shit, and you just try to keep it in stride, and keep it light because it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. I would think the same thing for MLS Fantasy, but it's gotten less and less fun
because we got this Jordan R. Benton, Jeff Beasy.
Yeah,
it's just running away with the league.
And I just stopped even changing my lineup. And
actually,
I had Bradley Wright Phillips in. Let's go to Sweet 15.
Yeah,
last night.
I felt bad having BWP in the game too, but I also forgot to set my lineup.
Yeah,
that's like I didn't do fantasy this year because that's what I always end up running into. Is like you update for maybe 2-3 weeks, and then you forget it for about 4 weeks. You're like, oh fuck,
and you're so far out.
Yeah, we do have pretty much the same top 5, right?
Yeah, Jacob Benson is in first with stats and trends.
John F. Beasy, got to give him his credit. Some Mighty Reds are in second now.
Yeah. Allstad is in second. Popkin with Darren Eels Dream Team. Varvar Beeks. Oh my God, that might be the best. That is the best. You get the award. You have made
Varvar
the Home
Beeks.
Before Dark starting 11 this week.
Not only that, but he's just a quality gentleman, Mr. Kevin Gorham.
Kevin Gorham, not only near and dear to my heart.
The Varvar Binks.
In a Jar Jar Binks reference, but Varvar Binks in 4th place. And since we have exclusive control, he might just jump into first just because of the name alone. And then Benson with Dog for Him in 5th place.
Hey, I dropped, but I'm still above where I was 2 weeks ago.
Even
so I'm good with it. Yeah.
I'm up to 43, and I did not set my lineup this week. So that's super great.
It seems like other people haven't set their lineups. No changes in the prediction league. So it is what it is. I'm pretty sure everybody just picked Atlanta to win last night or draw, and nothing happened. We didn't even say, if you guys are watching on YouTube, thank you for joining us. If you guys aren't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. We see a lot of familiar names in the trap. If you guys are listening to us on iTunes / Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, leave us a review or a rating or a review, and we'll read it aloud at the end of the show.
We have a few. We didn't quite take the top spot. We did get new reviews this week. I think the highest we climbed was top 3. I think we were top 3 in Orlando City podcast this week, which was
if you searched Orlando
all
City,
we wanted was to be a top 3 Orlando City podcast by just talking about last week's game. So we did it, guys. We'll take it. We'll take that as a win.
One other housekeeping note: if you guys have been following along, we are raising money alongside Soccer in the Streets for Clarkston FC, a group of kids that we got to go and meet on Friday, and coaches that we got to meet on Friday, and Jill from Soccer in the Streets, who was gracious enough to sit down with us. We have a special episode of an interview with her and a couple other folks coming out on Friday or Thursday or Friday, either way. And it's amazing to see those kids. Those kids absolutely deserve every bit of opportunity they can get. I mean, I was watching those kids play. I saw some of those kids, their stature and everything, and how little or how young they were. And I was like, all right, I can maybe go around and kick around with them. I started seeing play. I was like, there's not a chance I'm stepping on that field.
Dude, that one girl juggled for longer than Tim and I said, she juggled for longer than probably either one of us have juggled consecutively in our entire lives.
Oh no, I meant collectively in my entire life.
Yeah, I think I met some of the kids about maybe 2 weeks ago because I was out with Andrew Bustamante. And yeah, like those kids can go.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like that's really my first real exposure to soccer in the streets and all that. And I was like, you know, of course, some of the kids, you know, you can tell they don't really go at it that often, but the ones that do, man, they're good.
Oh
they're
yeah,
good.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
It's insane watching them play. But we have a $15,000 goal. That's pretty great. It's pretty great. New name in the chat and the best comment so far tonight. Asking Derek Rushing, asking Kevin if that's the official kit of MomoCon.
That's good. That's
For
good.
those of you guys who don't know, that is an anime convention that happens. What, in Duluth? It is in Duluth, right? Or is it Lilburn?
No,
It's
it
on
was
the east
down
side,
in
right?
South. Whenever I went to it a couple of years ago, it was at the convention center down in South Atlanta.
Yeah. Anyway, we are a third of the way
since I've been there.
to the goal. So far, the Home Before Dark banner has collected around $3,300, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and we're at about $5,000 of the 15 grand total. We have a good bit of contributions on Sunday. If you guys are interested, we are doing a FIFA tournament at Second Self Beer Company from 2 p.m.
Thank God you mentioned that. I completely forgot.
2 p.m. to 6 p.m. I know $15. It's a ticket into the tournament, but at the same time, you guys have a chance at some great prizes. They're going to be grab bags from Atlanta United. There's going to be a special prize, which I'm not going to reveal, that is going to go to the grand champion. And then we're also going to have some side raffles going with some things you see in front of us, whether that's King Peach prints or one of the scarves from Roughneck Scarves and Soccer in the Streets swag and all that stuff is going to be available there.
What did we say? First, second, and third, we're doing prize packs for, and then
Correct.
We'll also have raffles, stuff like that. So a lot of fun stuff planned. You can find the link to buy a ticket at gethomebeforedark.com/shop, right? Or is it?
Yeah, it's gethomebeforedark.com/shop. And go. There are 20 something spots left. So go in, get in on that, and go and test yourself on Sunday.
Test your might.
Test your might. So,
all right, Red Bulls time.
Red Bulls time.
Yeah.
So this team, we have last year. We went 0-1-1 against them. Opening game, first game of the season, first game of our existence over in Bobby Dodd, who Yamil Assad puts us up, and then two goals gives them the 3 points, and then we go up to the Meadowlands, East Rutherford, wherever they play. They don't play in New York; they play in New Jersey. But we went up there and kind of just, I don't know,
we just kicked the ball around.
It wasn't that great of a game, 0-0 draw. And then last night we had a hell of a game for many reasons, and I really don't know where to start.
Lineup. We have Guzan back,
which is good.
Is unchanged aside from Guzan.
Robles is out.
And then that video was kind of strange.
Which one?
His whole ending his streak and
yeah.
It's I guess in a way I don't know. It's a long streak, longest streak in MLS history, right? It's not like you're Lou Gehrig, you're not Cal Ripken, haven't been playing that long. It's a 6-year streak, something like that. It is pretty big.
Okay, I remember.
So that said, the lineup gets announced. We know Robles is out. We continue with the 3-back formation. We've got the return of Guzan. The table is set for Atlanta to feast.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, you've got a backup goalkeeper that's not had to play a game. They've not had to bring in a backup keeper to start a game in 5+ years.
Yeah.
And
they just so happen to have one of the best backup keepers in the league, as we saw last night.
He absolutely showed out last night.
Like there's a couple of shots. The one from Joseph, I think it was like in the 20th minute, something like that. And I was like, how did that not go?
Yeah,
he was leaning. He was leaning right and still made a play to his left, which is crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, everything about the lineup and being at home, that was kind of what started everything for me. I was really excited, as I am with all home games, but just the circumstance built around the game lent itself to at least a good matchup in Atlanta's favor.
Absolutely.
So from there, kickoff. And I guess the thing that jumped out to me first was the inconsistencies on the field of play in the passing game for Atlanta specifically. And it wasn't because Red Bull's high pressed. We knew they were going to. That's the kind of game they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta's played teams that have done that and been able to work it around with Nagbe or Barco. But what allows Atlanta to do that and facilitate that is some consistency in the passing game.
Right.
And it was nowhere to be found last night. I mean, it's so much so, I know we're kind of jumping the gun here, but Barco's goal is it comes off of a deflection. It's
Right.
not even a ball that's played to him intentionally. Like, and that just, I think there's no better example of that than the little bit of success Atlanta finds is based off of an inconsistent pass game that plagued them the entire night for whatever reason. And it was across the entire field.
Yeah, the first 15 minutes, it like everything felt disjointed. You know, just you know, the passes that we would normally make and was seen routine. It was like Red Bulls were either intercepting on passes or were going just a bit too short, bit too far, and you know, like that was frustrating. Like, yeah, that Barco goal, like that was just, you know, you just happen to you know, be there at the right moment. And you know, sometimes it works out that way, but yeah, like, you know, that first 15 was frustrating.
Yeah, I really didn't have anything negative to say about when we were talking about the lineups. I was super excited to see Miles Robinson into the game again after what we talked about last week. I think that, to me right now, I think he's solidified himself. We'll talk about his error, what have you, against Bradley Wright Phillips later in the game, but I think that he's kind of solidified himself as an, you know, one of the options at center back for this team, especially moving forward with the age of Michael Parkhurst and that. But I'm with you. We couldn't string together the right set of passes all night. Though people tried, namely Darlington Nagbe. I thought honestly,
he was off. He was off.
He was off, but at the same time, I still felt like he was one of our best players.
I thought him and Barco were both the little bit of light that showed through last night. Barco's positioning and Barco's the one play Barco has, I think it's probably in the 12th minute where he's just outside of the top of the 18. He has a defender press him. He does one cut. Second defender presses him, and he does the back spin to open up space in the midfield.
He straight up Maradona'd somebody in MLS.
He had a couple of those. He had a couple of those moments last night where he was taking defenders on and actually creating space. Is what you need to do against a high pressing team like that.
You know something, like for the first time last night, I actually said the first half I said it somewhere other than the supporter section. I was over in 115, which is like the left corner, I think, and the one thing I noticed that kind of stood out for me that you don't really get to see from that angle is how fast Barco is. Like, he can go.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I think that just speaking from the whole game, he was by far the most dangerous guy out on the pitch because, like, you could put 2 guys on, 3 guys on him, like he's zooming past everyone. And, you know, you see why he started. You see why he cost that kind of money because, you know, you have to pay attention to him no matter where he is.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he draws a couple defenders onto him, and then he leaves open a lot of people. The one thing that I will say, and it will come with time, and I think we saw it with Miggy last year too, is that he has a reluctance to shoot right now.
Yeah.
And I think that will come with time as he gets more comfortable. And I think that he just doesn't want to. This is just my opinion. I think that he probably doesn't want to come off as selfish, or he doesn't want to take shots when he doesn't have to, and that sort of thing. Whenever he feels like he has other outlets available to him. That was one thing last night is we passed a little too much. Like, at times it feels like we passed ourselves out, but then at other times you had Miggy we see it in the live chat when people saying that he was a little selfish last night, taking too many touches and taking too many shots.
Well, not just that, but I think that's why I wanted to open up about the lineup, because last week we talked about what Orlando's plan of attack was going to be against a backup keeper, even though it was Alec Can. He's a veteran by our standards.
Right.
He showed up. He was going to play well no matter what, but they were going to test him and see what he was going to do and if he was going to be able to make a play by taking a lot of shots outside the box early and often.
Right.
And you saw Atlanta do the exact same thing last night. A lot of shots that Atlanta normally doesn't take outside the 18, you saw them trying to make something happen unnecessarily, which was just sort of out of character for them last night. I mean, I'd be interested to see the number of shots taken outside of the 18 last night in the first half versus in the first half of weeks prior, because to me, it seemed like they were trying to test him more than they would if Robles was in there. They would be playing their game to pass and open up defenders more than they did last night.
Definitely. I was going back to what you're saying about Barco being selfish. I definitely think that, just given how the Red Bulls defended, mainly like once you got right in front of the six, it was like they had just enough people there where like, I don't think anyone could really get a clear shot. Even if you want to try something with a little bit of distance, it's like, okay, like, you're hesitating, you're second guessing, and that's how you end up passing all day long. And, like sometimes you just got to just rip it and just say, hey, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've seen that. And it's not like he would be taking that. The opportunities that I'm talking about are not that bad of shots. I mean, you're right. If the opportunity doesn't present itself to a good pass or an outlet pass to somebody in the box, sometimes you're better off taking that shot. And we know he has the power. We know he has the accuracy. We saw what he did against Minnesota, or was it Charleston that he scored against in the Challenge Cup? I think it was Minnesota that he curled one in against.
Yeah.
To Kevin's point, I just pulled up the Who Scored match report, and it's 67% of the shots that we took last night were out from outside of the box.
And now go like just pull up a game 2 weeks ago. I'm interested to see, because it stood out to me for a team that week in and week out, we're like, just take a shot even inside the box, much less ripping one. We talk about how rare it is and how we think that eventually Almiron's going to get one of those cracks from outside, or Nagbe is going to get one of those balls that rolls across the front of the box and he's going to put one on frame from outside the 18. But it's still few and far between.
Yeah.
Most of Atlanta's opportunities are created inside of the box most
Correct.
of the time.
So if you take a look at Orlando in the game which we won,
fucking stats and trends.
To Kevin's point, we only took 25% of our chances against Orlando outside of the box, as opposed to the 67 is whatever I said against New York last night.
I didn't even look at that shit, guys. That's just fucking off the dome. Let's go.
You did see that desire to fed that ball in, that through ball. I don't know how to describe it, into the box to the outside winger, whether that was Gressel coming in on the outside or if that was Tito later on in the game. You saw that desire to do that, but it was getting shut down. And that was just one of our normal outlets that wasn't there, I guess.
And to your point,
Tim Parker had a really, really good game.
Yeah, for sure.
He absolutely did. But I mean, to your point, Tim, they weren't making any adjustments to do something different. Whereas in past weeks, our attack is like last week, we made a big point about how the attack was evenly distributed left, center, and right of the pitch. This week, it's very much weighted on the right side of the field. So even though it wasn't working, they still stuck to it and forced it, versus actually trying to open up lanes with players that have the ability to create it on the left side, whether it be a 1-2 with Garza and Almiron on the left side, or Barco shifting more on the left side.
The Bark one tech.
The Barco,
the Bark
attack.
As Keith Filer pointed out in the chat. Hey everybody, sorry, we've been chatting and we get the show going, and we're just kind of neglecting you, leaving you guys to your own devices.
Yeah, exactly. We hear you guys. We're hearing you, and a lot of you guys are
kind of jumping ahead on us.
Yeah, you jump in the boat. #boat show. Let's see. Elliot Bevan. Ambrose has been doing well for the second team. Want to see him doing the free kicks. That's an interesting point. We do have to come up with a.
I think that's been Kratz's role though. So it's like, I guess,
Well, it's not so much the free kicks as much as we're going to have a substitution for Garza.
True.
And LGP.
And so for right now,
and McCann's out.
So let's talk about it. Let's go old school, home before dark, positive, negatives. We can start with negatives here.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the negatives, did anybody question, even whenever they were down in an injured state, that Greg Garza was about to get sent off? Because even from my side of the field, and I'm on the other side whenever that happened, I saw that and I was like, he's definitely getting sent off once they come up, you could see his legs, him leaving the ground, his legs out.
From the angle that I had, because by that point I was back in the supporter section, I couldn't tell like who fouled who, but I just know it looked bad.
Yeah,
so I was like whenever everyone gets up, someone's getting sent off. And of course, once I saw the replay later on last night, I was like,
there's no way you know what's kind
of course the thing about it was that of course he his shoulder was already jacked before he really even got into that tackle. So it was like, no, I think it was just a matter you just by that point it was too late.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, his shoulder's been jacked the entire year. It sucks. I mean, somebody brought up in the I think I've already missed it, but saying he's permanent injured, and it's kind of unfortunate because he went from he was an integral part of our success last year.
I'm sure he is. Garza has the worst shoulder in soccer.
But what was I going to say about that? I mean,
lineup.
One of the things. Well, first, one of the things that worries me about Garza right now is that's not the first time he's gone into a challenge like that this year. He got away with it earlier on in the year. In one game I could think of, I think it was against Minnesota, where we could have potentially been 2 men down in that game.
Yeah, I think that was the last game he got hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And okay, so obvious red to me. The consequence of that, partnered with LGP, which we could keep talking about the past few weeks, just be on good behavior.
It was a matter of time. It was a matter of time.
Now that one I actually was kind of surprised that one didn't end up a red card.
It deserved one.
Yeah, I was like, you got a real lucky on that one. Real lucky.
If any of you guys don't know what this is, I didn't know what it was till the beginning of this year. DOGSO, denial of goal scoring opportunity. It is an acronym that gets used, but that was a denial of a goal scoring opportunity outside of the box by a defender, just like with Guzan.
Yes.
That should have been a red card.
Yes.
And he really got away with one. Well, regardless, he's going to miss a game.
Yeah.
So you have LGP out for the Revs on the 30th. You have you have Garza definitely out. So you have to start thinking about
somebody said that McCann is ready for next game. Elliot Bevan said that McCann is ready for next game. I don't know if that's been.
I haven't seen anything about that.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything confirmed yet. Yeah.
So we have a couple things in the live chat we'll get to in just a second. Well, we have McCann, who potentially is not back. We don't know yet. He didn't even make the 18, so maybe 10 days of rest will help and get him game or match fit. I don't know if he will be or not. Franco Escobar still potentially out.
I think that might be.
Oh God,
that's something that you might have to worry about long term, because I think that's
CT is going to kick in at some point, right? Like you have to start worrying about that. I mean, certain guys have to get shut down. Start getting shut down at some point during a year for that. You see that happen in football. If a guy gets a concussion or two, they will shut him down for the rest of the year. Okay, so what happens? We're going to play a 3-back. If we play 3-back,
I don't think we have a choice but to play a 3-back anymore. Because
no, to me, I'm the opposite. I don't know how we play anything but a 4-back, because you don't have a third center back anymore. LGP is out.
Yeah,
McCann's potentially out if he's out. If Franco Escobar's out, if both of those guys are out, you can't play 3-back.
Why can't Larry play center back, Tim?
Oh my God! I don't want to lose another game.
Yeah,
you got Gressel at right back.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought he was better in defense than he was in offense last night.
There wasn't really much offense happening from him last night, so there's that.
So the question,
he tried real hard.
So we have a couple options. Mikey Ambrose, who was being brought up in the trap as we were talking about him taking free kicks, more so him playing left back. I think that's a no-brainer that he comes in and plays left back unless McCann is fully healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Who is his backup at that point? Is it Sal Zizzo, or do you bring up the 16-year-old American George Bello, who's been playing well for Atlanta United too? Do you bring him up into the fold, or, as somebody stated in here, the man that I was too afraid to talk to at Brewster's the other night, Jose Hernandez?
Yeah. I think it probably Hernandez.
Yeah.
Okay, because like with Bello, I can't see him getting that. Just being pushed right into the first team, at least not without getting into the Open Cup first. And once, if he performs well there, then of course we can explore that option. But I think that just right now we're playing too well in general just to say, hey,
we're going to put in Bello. It's too much pressure. I think. I mean, at this point in the season, with what we've got going on, Awo's not a natural center back, right? I mean,
I think he's playing with AU too, like as a D mid. It's a D mid.
Yeah, Wheeler Amanuz he's a center defensive mid. He's a 6.
So what about him?
I'm completely fine with that. I think he kind of played on the left side whenever he came in to supplement the 10-man. Whenever we were down to 10 men against Minnesota, and
that's right.
He played well, and if you consider the circumstances, he was really playing cleanup or I don't know, disaster relief, I guess, or prevention. Disaster prevention is really what he was in there to clear the ball out and just get on guys as much as he can. I wouldn't mind that, but to me, you have to play 4-back unless you have 2 of those guys healthy or one of those other guys healthy, because it's going to be a center back pairing of Miles Robinson and Michael Parkhurst against the Revs.
All right, we'll get the lineup later. Whenever we start talking about the Revs,
I'm going to go open the kitchen door.
Okay, great.
Hopefully, it gets circulated in here.
So,
I see you, brother. I see you.
So, first half, like I said, we set up Barco's first goal. Sort of lucky series of events that lead to that goal, and then following that, just minutes later, Martinez goal gets set up, and then subsequently
that was
back.
pretty. That was so. I was so mad that got called back because that goal was so nice.
So,
I was like, man,
by the letter of law,
there is nothing supposedly in the FIFA handbook. I guess not FIFA. The rule book that says incidental contact is not punishable.
Exactly. So, letter of the law says yes, that's the right call to make, but situationally, I don't agree with it because what else is he going to do? I mean, he's got to make a play towards the ball.
Right.
If he doesn't try to cut the angle to make a play, he doesn't have a play to be had. And it wasn't an intentional thing. I've watched it 4, 5, 6 times. There's nothing there
that's weak.
that displays malicious intent whatsoever
and
or anything like that.
If it's a millisecond difference too, they don't make contact. Like it was perfect amount of because both of their feet were like.
Who's the defender tracking in that? I forget.
It was Parker.
Yeah, that was
Parker.
Parker. Yeah.
I think he does more damage to himself in that interaction than Martinez actually inflicts on him. You see, I mean, he does.
He lost the ball.
Yeah, he catches his back leg barely, but then he misplants on his foot. He drags his second step. I mean, it just sort of sequentially spiraled out of control, but it seemed more things were brought on by his pace than what the initial contact lightly was done by Martinez.
I'm going to give some credence to Dean here in the live chat saying, I think it was blown, I think if it was blown dead and he never scored, then we wouldn't be discussing it. That is absolutely correct.
Of course.
That is absolutely correct. That was a judgment call by the referee looking straight at it, who wasn't able to make the call. And then you had his VAR, who just so happened to be Mark Geiger, chirping in his ear, saying,
that turd nugget.
Yeah, saying that is, I don't know, you need to look at it. And it took him all of 10 seconds to go over there. And in our understanding, what we've been told is that the VAR can make that call essentially and chime in and say, you were wrong. Come over here. We need to overturn this.
Teaser for more content coming out this week, guys. We do sit down and have an in-depth discussion about VAR, the time it takes to make a call, our thoughts on it, how it could be twist and turn either which way. It'll come out sometime this week. We don't have to get into it too much right now.
Just say who the guest is.
No, we'll just say we've got things coming out
on Wednesday. Just look at your podcatchers. It'll be out in your
yeah, I mean, it gets pulled back. It's unfortunate. It's one of those things, sometimes they fall your way, sometimes they don't. Nonetheless, I think it was another example of it was just disappointing in that the goal gets brought back and a completely different team shows up for Atlanta following that. They just completely it seemed like they just got in their own way more than they already were after that happened.
Yeah. Joe Johnston, the happiest of Joes, he said earlier on that the crowd outside of the supporter section seemed like it was dead or muted at a certain point. And to Kevin Brown's point, he said that the air got sucked out of the building once that goal was reversed.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're riding so high, you're thinking, hey, this about to be 4-0 and about to go ahead and keep cruising. And then next thing you know, it's like, okay, we got to go right back into. And then of course they gave up.
And then the PK happened.
Yeah. And that, I think that especially took all the momentum going into halftime.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It wasn't just the overturning the goal because it was just all of that sort of back to back. I mean, it was within 15, maybe 20 minutes of each other. Yeah, the PK definitely put it over the edge because it was another instance where VAR was used and upheld the call versus what had just happened moments prior where a call was overturned in our favor and both of them went against us. So it did take a lot out of the players. It took a lot out of the atmosphere because both of them did not go our way, and it was so close to one another, and it really did change.
And then you go into halftime, you're left with nothing but stew on it. You're just like how's this going to go? Because of course you're left wondering like are the calls going to go our way? Or are they going to find something else to kind of nitpick about? And like you don't want to have that stuff in the back of your head. All you want to do is say, hey, we got this. Let's kick ass in the second half. But yeah, that just left so much uncertainty.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I would be remiss if I didn't point out a new name in the trap. Justin Hazari saying the ref said to Parkhurst that Martinez infringement was clear and obvious. He said, then why wasn't he given a card? I don't know if it was card worthy, but to me, if it was clear and obvious, he missed it. Right. That's my biggest issue.
Yeah,
with it.
That was the thing. Like, because I think in the post game interviews that Parkhurst was saying, and I want to say Guzan might have said it as well. Like, where's the consistency? You're being selective as far as like how you want to make these calls. It's like, keep it fair. And if you can't even do that, like that's going to be a problem. Of course, like every last person that interviewed last night, like everybody had a problem with the officiating. Like you can't, especially going back to the Kansas City game. It's like you want something that you don't want to have that bias. Where you're having to battle upward.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like there was an uphill battle. And then do you want to talk, since we're still on negatives, do you want to talk about Miles Robinson and his foul?
It's not a foul.
Okay, so on ETR,
I think if it happens the other way and Atlanta's in that scenario, we would be screaming our heads off because a player went down and a defender was all over.
Oh yes,
us.
I mean,
so to that point, my issue isn't with it whether or not it's a foul or not. It's that again, the officiating was so one-sided last night, where very similar instances, not that one in particular, but other fouls that should have been called were not, or cards were given but then not given to very similar circumstances.
Yeah.
That's my issue with it.
Yeah, like if you watch the replay, it's like you can clearly tell that he trips over his own feet. And it's like, because my thing would be this, like it's a matter of physics there. Because like if Robinson had fouled him the way that they were running, he would have fell over his leg.
Right.
And that didn't happen.
But at the same time, Miles did not need to be. I mean, Miles was all over him. I mean, that's pretty obvious in rewatching it, and there was no need for it in that circumstance.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
I don't know though. You say there's no need for it in that circumstance, but you see guys jockey for position like that all the time, especially when you're dealing with arguably the greatest striker that's played in MLS. And he's still firing. He's still in his prime.
Yeah, he's a vet. He's a vet. Like he knows the game. So it's like, he took full advantage of that.
I hear people saying, LA Beaven saying it was a rookie mistake, and potentially, but at some point, I mean, you saw the way that he was getting up, those 2 goals that he scored with the top of his head.
Which you have to
fucking
gorgeous.
You have to inhibit his ability to play in some way, and you have to be to me, that was more of a crafty play by Miles Robinson. He just got called out for it.
Yeah.
And okay, so to peel back about the whole, if the shoe's on the other foot, we'd be screaming. Potentially, I see that. The problem that I have is the comparison is like on Extra Time Radio, they were saying, Matt Doyle was saying the Garza foul from Christian Higuita was soft. To me, it's a little different though, because and hear me out. The foul on Garza, Higuita has a hand on his shoulder and or his throat, right? And pushes him down.
Right.
Garza does make a meal of it, fine, but you still can't have your hand on somebody's neck.
Right.
Whereas the Miles Robinson thing is different to me, and it might be my bias, my inherent bias coming in, that he was handling him in a way that didn't, as Greg pointed out, the physics didn't match. Because if you look at Bradley Wright Phillips, he jumps.
Yeah.
Like he straight up jumps in the way that he's jumping forward. There's no way that anything Miles Robinson is doing to him is going to propel him that way. And that's my issue with that is, and I mean, that's Mark Geiger's job the entire game, is to watch the plays and watch the replays, especially big plays like that, and to chime in. And the fact that I don't even think I saw I already forgot the referee's name, and it's better we don't know their names, but I didn't even see him put his hand on his ear after that foul. So
that was one of those things where, like, the perspective that I have is that if they were playing on grass and not on field turf, that's not a foul. Because I've seen plenty of times where someone slips on field turf and bust their ass and all that. Like, if that was grass, that would have been an easy no call. Easy.
Yeah.
And like I said, you just go back to the physics. I'm like, yeah, if it was Robinson, of course, I completely agree with you where he was over top of our Wright Phillips, but that wasn't a foul.
No, it's not. I thought that was a crafty vet move from a young kid to know that he's going to get up, he's going to try and get to that ball. Kevin Brown's point, he's never going to get to that ball. But at the same time, I thought Miles Robinson was he was our standout defense last night. I thought, aside from that foul, he was stopping chances. He was chasing guys down. He was in great position all night. It's essentially had the inverse of what LGP had last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like the past month or so, like since he's broken into the 11, like he's really stepped up quite a bit to where, it makes, considering Escobar, whenever he gets healthy, it's like, we can ride with
Right.
Robinson.
See,
and
you and I are in the same camp. It's going to take some time to get him out of there.
Again, it depends on if you're in a 3-back or 4-back scenario, and that's what I conceded that to you last week. If it's a true 3-back, Miles Robinson's your go-to.
Yeah.
But in a 4-back, I've not seen enough offensively out of Miles Robinson
to put him out onto the wing
over Escobar because of what Escobar lends you offensively in a 4-back.
I can see that.
That's my.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if we go back to lineups, of course, I think that it all depends on two things. One, how you want to use Gressel, and then two, of course, who are your other center back partners? Because I think that.
Well, this is saying all things stay the same. If it's Garza, LGP, Parkhurst, and then your right back, and then Gressel is up in your mid, and Tata Systems wanting to take those backs and push them up as far as they can. And I think that you get more out of Escobar than you do out of Miles Robinson.
Yeah.
And in a 3-back, you're not forcing the backs to do that as much. And, he's been stellar in that.
Yeah, I think, just given this is what he can handle at least right now. Of course, as the season goes on, of course, obviously you're probably going to ask more out of him. But yeah, I think so far so good. Like he's been steady.
I think his defense is his true defensive nature is far better than some of his inconsistencies in passing, and
that shit will come. That shit will come with playing with his caliber.
Absolutely will. But it goes back to the point about why I don't know where he falls as being a true right wing back in Tata's system, like moving forward in a 4-back.
Yeah, I think that for what they probably want to use him as, I think that he's probably going to be one of those guys like LGP, where you're a true center back, where you're not really going forward that often. So more than likely he is that third center back, and then you find someone else to be that wing back.
Yeah.
So Dean mentions a good point, which I wanted to get to. We have to figure out how to include Tito, Almiron, Joseph, and Barco, and not have Tito start on the bench. And then the follow-up by Chaz, as much as he hates to say it, pull out Gressel. Over the past few weeks, this is the exact same thing that took place last season, where we saw an ebb and flow to Gressel's game, where at times it made sense for him to come in as a substitution.
Right.
Have we got to that point in the season now, based on where our lineup is, to see Tito in as a starter, to see what that introduces into the lineup over Julian Gressel?
I think the question there is, if you put in Tito, I don't think the wingback position would be the right position for him, because of course he might offer a bit more offensively, but I'm thinking, defensively, granted, he works his ass off. He worked nonstop last season, but I think that just having that dedicated role to where you're minding the flank on.
He doesn't work in a 3-back scenario.
Yeah. I don't think so.
But so, I mean, if we go to the 4-back,
I think no doubt my prediction for New England would be that you do see him. I think that if I'm talking lineup, you're going to see Mikey Ambrose on the left. You're going to see Miles Robinson and Michael Parkhurst in the middle. you're going to see Sal Zizzo on the right.
Yes.
And then you are most likely going to see Jeff and Nagby in the middle, anchoring as per usual. And then you're going to see Almiron and Barco kind of roaming in the middle. And then you're going to have Joseph and Tito
up top.
Yeah.
I can see that.
All right, so we got a lot of things to unpack in the second half. Just kind of rolling.
I think this is
here.
just going to be a moratorium on this game since we have another episode before before New England happens.
Yeah.
I think next Monday, fresh, clean slate. We'll preview New England.
Yeah, so the rest of the second half on
Bradley Wright Phillips, man, like, what do you do?
You can't do shit about either one of the.
You're talking about a guy who washed out at Charlton, right?
So I'll tell you what. You can't
dominate.
You can't do anything defensively about his positional awareness and his playmaking ability. But what is more disappointing is that the opportunity was allowed to be created on the outside and was not shut down prior to those crosses.
Was it goal number 2 that was 100% Lorenowitz's fault, or was it number 3, the giveaway that he had outside?
I think that was a third one.
Yeah, leaving the box.
And you cannot allow that to happen, because once he gets in and he's got a ball coming, it's like Martinez. I mean, if Martinez has the ability to move forward and gets a ball coming across the box from Gressel or somebody that knows where to play it, he's going to get a piece of it. And Bradley Wright Phillips has the ability to put it in every single time.
I have to stop for a second because autocorrect got the best of Brian Diefenbach. Said I would like to have seen Gloria Williams come in last night earlier in place of Martinez. I felt like we needed the height in the midfield. Gloria Williams, fantastic Jamaican striker.
That's a soca singer. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think defensively, that's where we did get exposed in the 3-back, as they stretched us out wide, and that allows players like Bradley Wright Phillips to get space in the center and really, really open up lanes.
Yeah, Dev, I think that we got caught a couple times where like we just had too many numbers up front, and then when they had the opportunity, it's like when you like that's the shortcoming.
That's the shortcoming of the 3-back.
Yeah, because it's not just that when you have guys like Parkhurst and Lorenowic, like they're not the fastest guys. Of course, they're smart, but like if you have a guy like Bradley Wright Phillips, that can burn you. Yeah, that's gonna catch you in the ass at the wrong moment.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
that was the first team to really expose the 3-back. I thought
it's the way they press, right?
Exactly.
I mean, if you give,
and we thought that would happen out of Orlando, and we went to. Didn't we go to? No, we stayed with 3-back against Orlando.
Yeah, it was 3-back.
Yeah.
That's because up until that point, we had still been unbeaten with 3-back, and there was nothing.
But we saw what happened in the second half against Orlando. Where
I think that was more us than that. I don't know. I try not to give Orlando too much credit, but I think it was more us than them in that second half.
They gets none.
Again, it goes back to the fact that with the inconsistencies that Atlanta was having last night, and then that compounded by the fact that Red Bulls, just like a very savvy Orlando team, if you let them in, they're going to knock the door down.
I'm going to say hot take. I don't even know if it's a hot take because I think the stats kind of lay it out there, but Kaku has been a far better signing money-wise than Barco has been.
Interesting.
Because he leads the league in assists. I think he's got 8 or 9 on the year.
But how much? I mean, Barco was out for the first half of the season.
I know,
so far,
and Barco's also a long term. I regret it immediately.
He's had 3 and 4. So far, he's been killer. I think that aside from Miggy, you're like. He's probably been our most important player.
Yeah.
Bad take.
Everybody's saying that. I understand. I understand. I'm just trying to rile people up. No, but my point was more so that Kaku has been amazing for them. He's been a standout. If you give him any sort of space, then he's going to be able to provide service. I mean,
Red Bulls is here. I mean, they're here to stay this season. They'll be in the playoffs. They'll be in the top 3. More than likely.
Eric, of course, Eric Quintana's ears are burning whenever I talk about hot takes and bad takes. Joining us.
That's when he pops in. Did somebody say bad takes? Eric Quintana's here.
Of course, that was one of the things that, of course, I saw on the fans page last night, and I'm like, the Red Bulls have been good. Of course, you're talking about like how can we lose to the Red Bulls? I'm like, they were in the Champions League this year. they've always been pretty steady. Like the one thing that I try to make point of is that my hot take or bad take or whatever is that Red Bulls are probably the most consistent team that we played all year. Like of course, when we scored our goals, they didn't flap. They didn't they didn't panic. They just kept playing their game, and it paid off. And I think that goes to their coaching and being able to just say, hey, we got this. Just keep pressing, and hey, at some point they'll fold.
Yeah,
and that happened.
Yeah. Unfortunate, it didn't fall our way, but
to me, they're the best team in the league right now.
Yeah.
I'll still say us because
I don't
you can't beat us.
Yeah, exactly. Us at our best. I don't know that New York Red Bulls at their best necessarily tops.
Nobody can beat us with 11. If we have all of our,
you guys watch that Hudson River Derby, right? You watch them dismantle NYCFC 4-0, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, and that goes back. Like I said, they're so consistent that they can beat anyone. They can beat them. Like, of course, I can always go back to us. Like, if you can't beat us unless you give us a red card, you can't beat us.
Yeah.
Death taxes and Red Bulls in the playoffs. I keep saying it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So let's think about this.
Tyler Adams is likely on the outs in the summer. They're going to lose their 18-year-old anchor in the midfield.
They might lose Marsh too.
Did he point to the spot as soon as Miles's
yes,
foul
it was instantaneous,
okay.
dude. Yeah.
So because my point was going to be, if we take any sort of officiating changes that took place out of this game, what happens? What happens after that? But I think it still ends up being the same result. I mean, Atlanta falls but I don't know what happens as far as the mentality and momentum and all of that.
I'm with our goalkeeper Richard Gordon when he says we can be the best, we just need some polish.
Yeah.
So, thank you for making me the defensive midfielder. That's actually such a perfect position.
You guys, the Home Before Dark starting 11 will be a regular facet. Everyone that participated in the live trap tonight are all contenders for the top spot. VAR Binks has definitely earned his spot in Kevin Gorham, but
I see your brother to you. I can see you as a winger.
But you guys do not realize we had to set up 2 lineups because we had so many people to thank over the past year.
And Keith is pointing out the HB2D. It was really 2 first teams. It was our first installment of it.
It was tough.
There were too many people.
It was Home Before Today. Is the way we came up with that. So you guys can figure that little riddle out. I don't know.
Nothing but slide tackles.
But yeah, I mean, it was hours of debate on who made the squad. So we'll be sure to get that going again this week.
Yeah, you wake up and you realize I got like 20 mentions on Twitter. You're like, what is going on?
I don't know if people want it anymore once they saw how it happened the first week, but yeah.
No, it was cool. It was cool.
So wrapping up the coverage of Red Bulls, any other thoughts?
Yes, I actually wanted to start the show off with this, but I would say we talked about Kamara Lawrence's injury. I'm happy to hear that he is fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or fine in quotation marks, but he was responsive. He was awake. He seemed fine in the hospital last night. It was very fortunate. Prayers. Yeah, because it's unfortunate to see a guy. You never want to see non-contact injuries.
Yeah,
those almost always end up being the worst because you're talking about torn ACLs and Achilles tendons, and in this case, you're talking about and
nobody knows. I think it's a collarbone injury or something. Like it seemed like he broke his collarbone just the way he came down. He clutched at it. But is it a back injury? Is it a neck injury? I have not seen anything. If anybody else has,
I mean, Keith said he went home today and all tests were negative, so it doesn't seem like he broke anything. It might have just been a scary neurological thing that happened because
sometimes you just get a little pinched nerve or something, and things get weird.
When I watched the replay last night, like just the way he fell, just like it was so freaky.
And he was just out, man. That was the thing, is he was just laying there. So
I was like, man,
it's good to hear that everything's good though.
It's like the risk you take trying to dive chest trap a ball out of your 18.
No kidding.
He was playing really well though too.
Yeah.
He was all over the pitch last night, and no, it was good to see him get. As Keith said, good to see him get checked out of the hospital and go home and everything. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the Larry red card, not red card.
Yeah,
it's been beaten to death. We don't want to beat VAR into the ground, but my biggest point with it and again, we kind of got educated on it earlier on today, was how quickly, and I counted 30 seconds whenever between the red card given and the red card rescinded. There were 30 seconds before whenever he walked away, started reviewing, and then he went back and brought Larry back onto the field and gave him a yellow card. And that's my biggest thing, is just,
you know, that was one thing, going back to what was mentioned earlier, as far as like taking away the momentum. Like, how do you go from, okay, you have a guy that's being sent off, and you're trying to wrap your head around that, to suddenly say, oh, okay, we got our guy back, and it's like, okay, like, and I think like we gave up our second goal like right after that. So it's like, I think that just getting your wits when you're trying to react to everything that's happened, like that messes up almost as much as the Joseph goal getting called back.
Because were we down 2-1 at that point, or was it still 1-1 whenever that happened?
I think that was 1-1. Like, that was just before the second goal happened, I think
so.
Yeah.
No, I think we were down 2-1 at that point.
Okay.
Regardless, it's as you said, it's gonna get the momentum out of the game, and it's gonna kind of suck the energy out of the team. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about something that happened earlier today.
I disagree with you, Dean. I think Zlatan deserved every bit of that fucking red. He just like chops the dude.
He
like,
monkey pawed him.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was hilarious to watch.
No, but the funny part was that he basically stayed on the ground until the trainers came out. I was like, dude, like you're milking all.
Every bit of it. All right.
I will say, going back to Jesse Marsh, like I said, the way he coached the Red Bulls and like just the overall consistency that he's had the past couple of years, I think just to kind of go slightly off topic. I know he's been. They've been talking about him going over to the mother club over in Germany. If he doesn't end up there, I think he ends up with the national team.
You think so?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we know Vermees has kind of stepped out. Dave Sarachan surely is not going to be the manager going forward. I hope not.
Even though I love this new roster. I love this roster.
That's the roster that should have been announced against Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
Weston McKennie, best player on the U.S. men's national team. That's a hot take. But what can I say, guy?
It's not far off. It's not far off.
Yeah, number 8 for the number 2 team in Bundesliga. We have 2 Americans in the Bundesliga that are going to go play Champions League next year, and it just makes me so happy.
Yeah,
it makes me so happy, and it's not like Julian Green making the Bayern team play in the Champions League.
No, he's on the third team. He might have a shot. Like, no, you need guys.
But he got a call up too.
Yeah, I saw that. Because he had a decent season in
he's at Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Playing their number 2 team down in Bundesliga 2. All right.
So we did get a staggering, 4 reviews on iTunes. Just pass them back and forth.
Yeah.
You ready? You want to take the first one?
Oh, you're gonna give me the super short one.
Well, I need the second one.
It's 5 stars, 5 stripes, 5 stars from M. McFly. Just says great show. Period.
How did he get 2? Didn't he have one a couple of months?
I don't know. He must love the show that much.
I love it.
He came back to the future to leave us another review.
I'm back from the future.
The next one, 5 stars. XOXOXO from _Barco. Longtime co-host, first-time commenter. This show has been an absolute blast to be a part of each week. When we set out on this journey, I never would have expected where it would take us. Tim and Dan are 2 of my favorite people in the world, and they make me feel like dreams really do come true, except for Orlando City's dreams of league relevancy. Even though Tim doesn't drink, he still gets drunk with laughter, and despite his improper use of the English language, Dan still speaks the truth. Love you guys. Onward and upward. XOXO KB.
That's Kevin writing himself his own review.
That's so wrong.
The next one from Gabe Lajas, 5 stars, says, say the opposite of these words. And the words are always coming from take me down. So for
never going to give you up.
We got Rickrolled. We got Rickrolled in a review. Never going to give you up. But for real, I love this podcast. Great info from even better people. If only they were better at MLS fantasy. Right, Kevin?
That's why he made second team this week.
He makes first team hot chicken all day long.
No kidding. Last one, best Orlando City podcast by Skinny Ty. Orlando City fans can harp about their history and cry built not bought all they want. But on top of dominating this young rivalry, we'll always be proud that Atlanta United was made, not moved. Hashtag Hail United Resurgence. Oh, and this podcast is fantastic.
Is it really that? Is it something that you really want to harp that you have better history in USL than MLS?
No. That's been our point of like contention the entire time. Is we actually have a trophy in our academy from our MLS team, and they don't have anything outside of a USL trophy. It's funny, they will claim the trophy that moved to Louisville. They will not claim any of the Austin Aztecs history, and it's just picking and choosing what they will. Dan had a ball trolling them last night.
That was all Dan last night.
So
guys.
we'll see
we'll get some 1 stars.
Yeah, we'll see a surge of 1-star reviews.
Yeah, I had my fair share of trolling Orlando last year. I think with Ruckus. After the game at the Benz, that was very comical.
Bunch of ultras. Joe Patrick had reported earlier, or at least he posted on Twitter, I think it was his, that they have, for the garbage throwing incident, they have 38 banned 38 of their supporters for a year.
Wow.
So
when keeping it ultra goes wrong.
That's for sure. I mean, those what were they called in Pokemon? The guys,
Shinies?
No, the guys.
Team Skull.
Team Skull. The guys who wore the bandanas.
Oh God.
So, in closing, check out homebeforedark.com/shop for your tickets to the FIFA tournament this Sunday.
Buy a hat, and the profits will go directly to Clarkson FC for the next 2 weeks.
You can also support our promotion with awaydaysfootball.com. Get yourself a mystery kit or a hat or a shirt or a jacket. Use promo code HB4D for 15% off and help us get Clarkson FC to regionals. And on top of that, you can find all of us on Twitter where you can interact and try to earn your spot on the first team of HB4D starting 11 this week. That said, Greg, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at grego.82, Twitter at Grego_82. You can find me on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find. You can find me on the fans page. I'm talking shit out all the time. It doesn't make any difference.
And just keep Dean quiet. That's all I ask. You see, he gives us all the reasons to validate. He's validated you in so many ways just tonight in the trap.
It's nothing but a mute button away. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Shout out to Florida Culture, my guys Mary Deaconess and Reggie, and my homeboy Cornelius. He was up on the capo stand yesterday for the first time. That was like
That's awesome.
He did pretty cool. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. Hope to be back soon.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. You can find Dan, I think, on Twitter at his name. That's Dan James. Tim, where can they find you at?
You can find me at TIMHERB. That's my name.
You can find me as well at the Barco Tech. That's _BAR, the number 0 TECT. Thanks for checking us out.
The Barco Tech, you forgot the C in there.
Oh yeah, whatever. It's confusing. Collectively at Home Before Dark. That's before spelled being the number 4. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. We'll see you next time. As always, be home before dark.